Hey everyone, welcome back to the course. Now that we've got our Unity product set up with the clean environment and customized play mode tint, it's time to build the UI that'll drive our PlayerPrefs system. In this video, we're creating the interactive elements like the input fields, buttons, and sliders that'll help the player interact and load their data seamlessly. Let's get started. A couple things to take note before we get started. I will set in the game view my aspect ratio to full HD. This will be the reference ratio that we'll set later, but I'm going to go ahead and set that now. But now in the hierarchy, let's right click, go to UI and canvas. This creates the area of which we're putting our buttons and our input fields on. And in this canvas, we want to have a background. So in order to do this, we're going to make sure canvas is selected, right click, go to UI and put image. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set it from white to maybe like a darker background. Maybe I'll just do this blue. There we go. Well, now there's only a few things left we need to do here. So let's rename it to background. And then this little rect transform component, go ahead and click this little box here where it has middle and center. Then you'll get these little anchor presets. Now you're going to hold Alt and left click this stretch. Now there's one thing we needed to do on our canvas, and that if we go back into the canvas scaler component and the UI scale mode property, let's set that to scale with screen size. And we want the reference resolution to be 1920 by 1080. The reason we do this is, well, the majority, let's say about 54% of Steam players play with the 1920 monitor. So we almost want to base our games on the largest audience. Okay, now that we have those two components created, the canvas and the image, let's click the canvas with the left click and then right click on it, go to UI, and let's make a button text mesh pro. You're going to get a prompt here for this TMP importer. You're going to want to import those TMP essentials because those are the resources that will be added to your project that are essential for using Text Mesh Pro. So click import. And once those are imported, you'll be able to just X that out. All right, now that we have this button, let's go ahead and name it to what we want this button to be, which will be int increment button. To make this easier, I'm going to Control A and copy this name for later. But let's go ahead and set the text as well. Later, we're just going to increment by 1. I'm going to rename this to button text. Now, one thing we need to do for this button is we need to change the position and the scale. So I've hit this little button here. This will let you change the X, Y, and the Z all at the same time. If there's a cross in it, that means it's disabled. But if you want to enable it, click it, and it should just be a perfect little chain here, chain link. And let's change it to 3. And now the position is going to be -600, and the Y is going to be -100. Perfect. Now, when you're selecting the int increment button, let's do Control D. And instead of int, let's make this float. That way it's a float increment button. Remove the 1, copy the name as well. Let's paste this and add text at the end. Let's go to the float button. And instead of -600 for the X, let's just make this 0. Now the button's in the middle. Then in the float increment button text, let's just change this to +1.5 because this is a float. We're going to want to add 1.5 in the future. Now the next button we want to add is a string input. So click the canvas, right click, go to UI, and let's make an input field. This input field, let's rename to string underscore input. Hit enter. Let's drop this. I guess while we're here, let's go ahead and change the scale to 3. Make sure you enable it. And then the position on the X is going to be +600, and the Y is going to be -100. On the text area element, let's make this string underscore input text. Okay, now that we got those buttons created, we got to go ahead and make the smaller buttons for resetting, saving, loading, and quitting. So to do that, click the canvas, right click, go to UI, and button. Now this button, we're just going to scale it to 2, so it's a little bit smaller than the ones before. And this button is going to be at -300, so -300. Now we need to make 6 of these buttons. So highlight the button and Control D to make the other ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next, we just got to get the buttons to where they need to be. So this is going to be the save underscore button. And I'm going to copy the name. Inside the button, you have the text. So I'm going to paste in save button text and change this text element here to say save. Next one is going to be our load button. So load underscore button. And the load button is going to be at negative 375. Okay, I'm going to rename this text element as well to reload button text. And the text is going to say load. Next button here, this is going to be the reset all button. So reset underscore all button. Paste the name in for the text element and add text. And here we're going to do reset all. Now we do need to make this reset all button at negative 450. Now these three buttons, we're going to put each one underneath the int, flow, and string input. That way, if we want to just individually reset this string, we can do that. And we don't have to reset everything. Let's go ahead and do that. So this button is going to be the reset underscore int button. Copy that name for later. And this is going to be at negative 600, negative 175. Let's rename the text element and put reset int for the text input. Now this button is going to be the reset float. So reset underscore float button. And this is going to be at negative 175. Let's rename the text and add reset float. Oh, let's spell that right. And this button here is going to be reset underscore string button. Let's reset the text element name and add text. And for this, we're going to do reset string. Now we do need to put this at negative 175 for the Y, and for the X, it's going to be positive 600. Now there's one more button that we need to do, and this is going to be the quit button. So quit underscore button, rename the text, add text, and in the text, let's just add quit. Now this quit button is going to be at 600 on the X and negative 375 for the Y. So it's kind of out there all by itself. All right, and now we've made all these buttons. Let's go ahead and collapse them all. The only thing left we have to make are the counters for the int, float, and the string. Those are pretty easy as well. To make those, all we got to do is just add some text elements. So go to your canvas, UI, and add some text /max pro. And this first one's going to be, you probably guessed it, at negative 600, 100 for the Y. And let's make this text a little bit bigger. We'll put 0, 100. Now you'll notice that the 0 is kind of off to the side here. If we hit this center, it's centered. There you go. Simple as that. You can also put this in the middle. That way it's kind of in the middle like that. I will rename this so it does make a little bit more sense. So this will be the int underscore counter. There, let's make another one. So canvas, right click, UI, and text mesh pro. Now this is going to say 100 for the Y. Let's make the font size 100 as well. And let's make it center and in the middle. And let's change this to 0.00. Last but not least, let's rename it to be float underscore counter. Now, see if you can make the string counter and put it right above the string input. All right, hopefully you did good, but if you did run into some troubles, we'll go ahead and do it now. So canvas, right click, go to UI, text mesh pro. Let's just name this string underscore counter right off the bat. And we're gonna put this at the 600X. At the Y, we'll go ahead and put that in the 100. I'm just gonna put subscribe. There we go. And I'll make it nice and bold too. And I don't want this text to be as big as before, because if we do have a lot of text, it's gonna be a pain to see it all. So I'm just gonna change it to 50. Now you'll notice that it does kind of look weird. We can change that. But first off, change the alignment. So let's make it center and middle. Now to fix this issue here, for the text wrapping mode, let's change it to no wraps. That way the text doesn't look weird. And there you go. We've made our canvas, we made our background, we made our buttons, and we made the counters that we're going to be manipulating in the future. And that's a wrap for this video. We built our canvas UI and organized everything into place. Up next, we'll dive into the PlayerPrefs static methods and how they work behind the scenes. If you ran into any hiccups, please drop a comment below and I'd love to help out. Otherwise, I'll catch you in the next one, and like, comment, subscribe, please.